Hey there, I'm Steve, and welcome to Jamson Entertainment. And welcome to the conversation. Just before we get started, there are many ways you can help. You can like and subscribe so you never miss a conversation. But most importantly, please share this video. Get the word out there as a community we can talk about all the things that we love. Today on Throwback Thursday, we're looking at The Princess Bride, starring Cary Elwes, Mandy Patinkin, Chris Sarandon, Christopher Guest, Wallace Shawn, Andre Renee Rosenhoff, or also known as Andre the Giant, Fred Savage, Robin Wright, Peter Falk, Carol Kane, and Billy Crystal. This is among the greatest love stories ever told. About the third act in the movie, the thought occurred to me. This reminds me of Shrek, in the sense that it kinda turns the fairy tale on its head. It almost falls into parody, but there's, at least to my knowledge, not one or more stories that it's parodying. I mean, it could be parodying fairy tales in general. When you look up on IMDb, it does say it's adventure, comedy, and family. But I couldn't help but wonder, the people who made Shrek, they must have been fans of The Princess Bride, and they like the different approach that The Princess Bride takes to fairy tales. Because even though this plays out very much like a traditional fairy tale, there are a lot of twists and turns it takes, a lot of expectations subverted that make this stand out among all the others. That also helps with having a stellar cast. Everyone in here is absolutely amazing at their job. The story starts out with the grandson, I looked it up again, doesn't have a name, he's just the grandson, being sick. And his grandfather comes over to visit him. He has a gift for him. It's a book, The Princess Bride. And I think it is an actual book. I'm not entirely sure. I'll do a little research and I'll put it up in post. Even though this is the late 80s that this came out, I would say the 80s was kind of the beginning of kids being, I don't know if jaded is the right word, but I would say the 80s is probably the beginning of like the electronics age, where some kids were more interested in video games than they were books. And he is playing a baseball game in the beginning of the movie before his grandfather comes over. So the grandson isn't entirely thrilled that his grandfather got him a book, but there's a history to this book. The grandfather's father read it to him when he was sick. He read it to his son when he was sick. They don't mention why the father's not there because the mother is there and she checks in on him, but he says, I'm going to read it to you because you are sick. And the grandson's like, all right, I'll give it a try. So then the fairy tale starts out with a young couple. You have Buttercup and Wesley, but Buttercup never calls him Wesley, at least in the beginning. So he always calls him Farm Boy. And you would think bosses him around, but it doesn't bother him because he's in love with her. And each time she asks him to do something, he simply replies with, as you wish, which is his way of saying, I love you. At some point, tragedy falls upon Wesley, and Buttercup is heartbroken over this. And in her heartbreak, in the kingdom of Florin, there's this weird tradition that the prince marries a common woman, and he chooses Buttercup. She's not happy with this, but there's nothing else going on in her life at the moment. But she gets kidnapped by three men, Vicini, Fezzik, and Inigo Montoya, who is probably quoted the most amongst fans for his famous line of, hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. So after kidnapping her, Inigo notices that they are being followed. And the second most quoted line is said by Vicini. Like, there's nobody following us. It's inconceivable. They're being pursued by the Man in Black. And at some point, you have one of the greatest sword fights in movie history. This movie is also hilarious. I've seen it half a dozen times, and I bust a gut each time I watch it. Everyone is just acting so phenomenally. The chemistry among all the actors is just perfect. I can't recommend this movie enough. I think I bought the 30th anniversary edition. Really, really cool. The Blu-ray case is in the shape of a book, and it has a little booklet inside with somebody behind the scenes, and I think concept art. It's not just the shape of a book, it feels like a book. It's a great design for a case. If you can find that, I would recommend you get that. If there is another edition out there, because I can't remember when I bought this, maybe it's gotta be past 35 years or something like that by now. If there's a new anniversary edition out there that's on 4K, I would recommend you get that. Those are my thoughts on The Princess Bride. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and live your imagination.